Creepy dating site horror stories are becoming ever more common as scary criminals use the trust of others in dating apps to exploit them for their own nefarious needs. Dating apps like Tinder and Bumble make it easy for these individuals to lure their victims into a false sense of security, resulting in some scary dating stories. Number 5. On the 10th of December 2016, a 27-year-old man from Waterbury in Connecticut, who has not been named, matched with 19-year-old Shavon Avery Bethia Frazier on a popular online dating app, and the two arranged to meet up in person. While arranging a rendezvous point to meet up at, Shavon told the man to meet her in an alley next to a building on Winthrop Avenue, where she told him she would be waiting. The man drove to the area at the prearranged time, but when he arrived, he realized that he had stepped into a real-life dating horror story. Instead of meeting with Shavon in the alley, a man named Fred Adams appeared, holding a weapon. Adams immediately launched at the man and attacked him, resulting in a scuffle that was caught on camera. Witnesses would later supply police officers with the footage, which showed the two men fighting before Adams' weapon is seen flying out of his hand as he tries to push the man towards a nearby building. As soon as Adams lets go of his victim to retrieve the firearm, the man took his chance and tried to escape by running to his car, a black 2000 Honda Civic. But Adams followed closely behind and caught up to the man and forced his way into the vehicle before taking off. After the victim contacted the police, a general alert was released to patrolling officers, telling them to be on the lookout for the vehicle. Shortly before 2 a.m., Officer David Rivera spotted the car and coordinated with other officers to stop the vehicle. But Adams decided to flee and ultimately crashed the car on Sherman Avenue. As soon as the car came to a halt, Adam jumped out and tried to flee, but he was quickly chased down and taken into custody. Adams was charged with possession of more than 4 ounces of a controlled substance, and Shavon was charged with possession of a controlled substance. Number 4. An online dating scam was carried out in South Africa and has been put to a stop in 2021 by South African police. Chinonso Pascal Eze, a 36-year-old man from Cape Town, was part of a syndicate that used dating apps to gain the trust of several women, who they then defrauded of their hard-earned money. A spokesman for the National Prosecution Authority of South Africa stated that the men would create fake dating profiles under the name of Marcos Ivan, Michael Brandy Smart, and Craig Thompson. These fake profiles were then portrayed as wealthy men who were in a position to repay the victims, creating a false sense of security. During the first of the incidents, Eze matched with a woman with whom he then started chatting and sharing photos. Unbeknownst to the victim, however, she was not receiving photos of Eze, but another unknown man. He gradually gained the woman's trust and borrowed close to $21,000 from her between November of 2017 and January of 2018. In the second incident, Eze worked under the name of Smart and, using the same modus operandi, stole $12,000, which was deposited by the victim into bank accounts that belonged to 4 different members of the syndicate. A third victim was duped in the same manner and ended up sending $34,000, again into various bank accounts held by several people, bringing his total of stolen money to nearly $70,000. The bank account holders were identified, and it was found that the cash was being deposited into their accounts for the purpose of money laundering. When Eze was eventually tracked down, he was charged with 23 counts of fraud and money laundering. For his role in the fraud charges, he was sentenced to 4 years in prison, 4 of which are suspended, and he received a further 10 years behind bars, 5 of which are suspended for participating in the money laundering scheme. Number 3. The dating app Plenty of Fish was used by James Scott Smith Jr. from New York to gain the trust of Amber Garrison, resulting in a creepy dating story that she's not likely to forget anytime soon. On the 20th of July, 2019, Amber Smith met via the popular dating app, and they arranged to meet up. They decided to get together at a truck stop in Pennsylvania, where he picked her up in his semi-truck. But as soon as she entered the vehicle, he prevented her from using her phone to contact her family, and would not allow her to get out of the vehicle. On the 9th of August, Amber's mom, Lisa Eunice, became worried after not seeing her since the 19th of July, 20 days after meeting up with Smith. She told police officers that it wasn't uncommon for Amber to stay out of contact, but she decided to open a missing persons report anyway. But on the 17th of August, Lisa received a Facebook message from someone using Amber's account, saying that Amber's car was parked in the nearby parking lot of a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. She then started receiving more messages stating that Amber was in fact not missing, and asked her to remove posts stating that she was. Court documents would later reveal that Smith had realized that Amber was reported as missing, and he instructed her to phone her mother to say that she didn't need to look for her any longer. He also instructed her to email a New York trooper to tell him that she wasn't missing. On the 31st of August, Amber managed to phone 911 on several occasions from inside a Casey's store located in the 700 block of South Division Street, and attempted to report her situation to dispatchers. But the Adair County deputy who was sent out to try to assist her was unable to track her exact location, and so was unable to help since she was unable to speak during the calls. On her third call, Smith realized that she was trying to get help and ended the call himself while holding her captive in his vehicle, threatening her with a blade for over an hour. She then promised not to contact the police again and was allowed to get out of the truck. She went back into the store, and officers who responded to her last call were able to track her to that location. She was taken to Adair County Hospital where she was able to receive treatment. Smith's vehicle was located and searched, yielding enough evidence for him to be taken into custody. Amber later told police that after Smith abducted her, he assaulted her on numerous occasions and stated that she was forced to stay in the truck with him as he drove through multiple states. She also stated she had contracted an infection in her left forearm and left thumb after Smith forcefully tattooed her against her will. He was charged with first-degree kidnapping, first-degree harassment, domestic assault with a weapon, and obstruction of an emergency communication, though he insists that the relationship between him and Amber was consensual and that he's innocent. Number 2. On the 21st of December, 2019, a man from Porterville in California, whose name is being withheld to protect his identity, arranged to meet up with 31-year-old Shalina Lopez after meeting her on the online dating app Meet Me. The two arranged to get together at 2 a.m. at the Eagle Mountain Casino, located in Porterville, but to the man's surprise, Shalina had brought along her brother, 39-year-old Mario Garcia. While spending time together in the casino, the three then ran into another friend of Shalina's, 27-year-old Cesar Cameron Domingo Jr. Domingo was then invited to spend time with the other three, after which they decided to drive home in the man's car. He later told police that during the journey, he heard the sound of a firearm being discharged. As he looked around to see what was going on, he realized that one of the men was pointing a firearm at him. He was then instructed to drive them to the nearest ATM, and he was forced to withdraw cash from his account. He was also robbed of all valuables and jewelry that he had on him at the time. He was then instructed to drive to a different location where Lopez, Garcia, and Domingo told him to pull over, and they finally got out of the man's car and allowed him to drive away. Shortly after, he contacted the Tulare County Police Department and reported the incident. Police officers were able to track Lopez and Garcia down shortly after, and they were placed under arrest. They were booked into the South County Justice Center in Porterville, but Domingo managed to evade arrest. At the time, the Tulare County Sheriff's Office asked anyone with information on his whereabouts to contact them. Number 1. In 2020, the Clarksville Police Department in Tennessee sent out a public awareness reminder warning anyone who was using online dating apps to be vigilant after a string of assaults were reported between the 21st and 24th of August of that year. They stated that numerous people reported meeting up with matches from different online dating sites, only to become victims of attacks carried out by unknown men. The first of the incidents took place on the 21st of August when a man arranged to meet with a match at a hotel room at the Baymont Inn located on Holiday Drive in Clarksville. But shortly after arriving, he was set upon by two men who tied him up with an extension cord. They then proceeded to threaten him with a broken beer bottle and forced him to give them access to a cell phone. One of the men then accessed the Cash App application on his phone and proceeded to transfer a total of $400 to one of their own Cash App accounts. The second incident happened on the 23rd of August when an unnamed victim was approached by a man outside of his Clarksville apartment. The man then offered the victim a ride, after which they drove out to the Clarksville Speedway on Needmore Road. But soon after arriving at the Speedway, the man started assaulting the victim and once again threatened him with a broken liquor bottle. But this time he also had a hammer with him. After the assault, the victim contacted police and reported the crime. He was later taken to the Vanderbilt University Medical Center, where he received treatment for his extensive injuries sustained during the assault. Upon investigation, it was found that the two men responsible for the attacks and robberies were Cedric Morton and Darius Hines, both 20 years old. They were eventually identified and taken into custody. Hines was charged with 2 counts of aggravated robbery for his role in the attacks, and Morton was charged with similar crimes stemming from an incident that took place in Jackson, Tennessee in 2018. He had been let out of prison on bond in Clarksville, and it's believed that he participated in robberies and assaults during this time. Hines was taken to the Montgomery County Jail, where he was awaiting his trial and sentencing, and Morton was being held at the Madison County Jail. Police have stated that the case is ongoing and that further charges may be added to both men's cases. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.